Hello again. We're back. Little different location than in times past, but I'm here in my office and I'm glad that you're here with me. During the season of Easter, we have readings on Sunday mornings that pertain to the ongoing presence of Jesus in the world after he had been raised from the dead. And the apostles would go out and announce to people that God has acted, has raised Jesus from the dead, and that Jesus is in the world through the Holy Spirit, still a personal presence acting in the world. And that shook a lot of those people to their very core, that it's not an empty world, it's not an empty universe, but there is a powerful presence in the world with them. And this presence means good for people. I took a look at some of the books on my shelf. This was a book I read about 15 years ago. It's actually by a Jewish philosopher named Abraham Joshua Heschel. Back in the 1960s, he was disappointed in the way the world was changing from a mindset of understanding the grandeur of God, the creator of the universe who's still active in it. And what was happening was the mindset of people was becoming more that this is an empty universe, that there's nothing but us in it. Nothing but. And so he wrote this book with a whole bunch of different little reflections called Man is Not Alone. And all of this 300-page book is about the many ways in which the human being can experience the presence of God and understand that this world is not empty, that God is with us. But I can't remember exactly what page in the book it is. Usually I'm very good at remembering that, so I couldn't find it a couple of minutes ago. But he said something like, it's not just wonderful to think that we are not alone and that there is a presence in the world that we can know about. It's when we come to understand that that presence knows us. That to that presence in the world, we are persons with identity and with value. And once a person understands that not only are we not alone, but that what is with us knows us and cares about us. You ever played that game sometimes where you're with people and you've got nothing to talk about, so you come up with something? Tell me about a famous person you have met. And people will recount some of their stories about having met maybe a famous athlete or actor or politician or something. And the interesting thing about that little exercise is it's not so much that we know that there is that athlete, there is that politician, there is that actor, actress in the world, but that person knows me and met me. Isn't that wonderful? It completely changes your perspective on things. And Heschel was basically saying, when we understand that not only are we not alone, but that we are known. It's a wonderful thing to say. And so what happens to us, I was thinking, with regard to the season of Easter, the book of Acts, and our ongoing Christian life, when you understand that there is a powerful presence in the world, and this is a wonderful presence, your whole world is turned upside down. And so I got this other book. Now this is tattered and torn. I think I've read it, left it out in the rain, so it's seen a lot of wear. And this one's written by a Christian biblical scholar, probably 30, 40 years ago. He wrote the book, Luke Timothy Johnson, a wonderful biblical scholar and author who was writing in this book, Faith's Freedom, about what it's like to be in relationship with a powerful presence in the world. And so as theologians and philosophers often do, they'll come up with an analogy or an illustration of what it's like. Well, Luke Timothy Johnson was a professor in a public university, so he had access to seeing different experiences going on campus. And he said this. He said, imagine a late adolescent young man, an undergraduate, who goes day after day to the library to study in preparation for his tests or to write papers. And life is pretty mundane, and he's going about this everyday life of going to the library. And then one day he goes to the library. And as he is entering into the floor where he's going to find a carrel to study in, he makes eye contact with the girl of his dreams. He catches sight of this vision, of this now new personal power that is in his world, that has him completely captivated. Suddenly he finds himself under the power of this presence, this other person in the world. He starts to organize his days and his time in the library according to when he thinks she will be there. He makes sure that he is able to find himself a seat where he can maintain constant vision of this site. His whole life has been reoriented and ordered by now this powerful presence in the world. And he wants to know more about her, what her name is, what she's like, what are some of the things she's studying, where she's from. He wants to know more and more because he is now in awe. And Johnson was saying, in effect, that's a wonderful thing. It explains in many ways a religious experience for us to be in contact with a power that is in the world, in Jesus Christ, by the power of the Spirit, and how life is reordered. And we want to know more, and we find ourselves uplifted and in awe. But the real turning point comes when one day he swallows hard, and he takes this leap into faith and approaches the young lady and makes contact with her and begins to talk with her. And suddenly she knows him. And imagine the power that he experiences when his awe of her is reciprocated by her awe of him, and how that relationship flourishes. He was talking about how much that resembles this life of faith when we understand there's a personal presence in the world that's powerful, but that also knows us. I've often said to people that once you know that there's something in the world with you that will affect your life, it'll change you. And I use the illustration, it's kind of a corny one, of the times when it's a summer night and you're tired and you lay down in bed, you turn off the lights and you want to catch some shut-eye. And suddenly you hear this high-pitched buzzing, and you know that you're not alone in that room, that there is a bloodthirsty mosquito that not only you know about, but it's looking for you to find you. And life is completely reoriented according to a presence. And I say, in effect, imagine the presence being with us as benevolent, not malicious, not malevolent like a mosquito, but one that intends good for you and knows you're there and wants to be in relationship with you. Well, anyhow, I think that's something we need to recover in the Christian faith, the sense of this powerful presence with us. I think it will sustain the Christian faith throughout this century and into a new iteration of whatever Christianity will be in generations to come. I think we often get so caught up in what we're doing rather than who's with us, who knows us, and how that reorients our entire perspective on life and on the world. The people in Acts were taught and told, and the apostles proclaimed to them this powerful presence in the world, and it affected them greatly. Christianity took off not because it was a better morality system, but because it was a better understanding of how God is with us, knows us, and cares for us. The first Christians would gather, and in Acts chapter 2, it says they were filled with awe. They were filled with awe that God has acted in the world in Jesus Christ, and now this powerful God is in relationship with them, and they are known to God, and God cares about them. That word there in awe, it actually, the Greek word is phobos. We get our word phobia. We think about, we have a dog phobia, we're afraid of dogs. We have cat phobia, we're afraid of cats, or whatever the case may be. We're afraid of something. But phobos in the sense that they're talking about in the book of Acts, is not a dread of that thing. It is awe. There is this powerful presence that has us captivated. And this powerful presence is Jesus Christ with us. We're not alone. The world is not empty. And that is the message of the book of Acts and what I want to tell you today. Imagine that you can say, yes, I know that Jesus is in the world. But play that game of the famous person that maybe you have met. And come to say to yourself, not only do I know Jesus is in the world with me, but he knows that I am with him, and he cares about me, and he will not abandon me, and I will be with him forever and ever, and that will be very good. Let's recapture a little sense of that awe of the presence of God and God knowing each one of us. Think about that, chew on that, and digest it. And we'll see you again sometime very soon. Bye now.